What is up, my little deinos? Vepsis, your host of the Helsinki Hydreigons, and we are here for the APA Academy Week 10 battle versus SlackOut and his team be the Northern Weasels. He is a good friend of ours, big influence on this channel regards to his help with the graphics, so make sure to subscribe and support him and watch from his point of view as well. I would really appreciate it, because if it wasn't for his help, I don't believe I will have any kind of these opportunities to be here as a replacement coach in the APA Academy, being part of the UBL, both the league or the main league. All same goes for the NPL majors as well in the past as well. So make sure to check him out. Big thank you for him for his support, and hopefully he can provide to us that moving forward as well. And he's just a good friend of ours and a really solid guy. So make sure to check him out. It's gonna be funny that both of us, while we're gonna be battling and narrating this battle, you're gonna be only hearing like a potato Finnish accent commentary from this battle in itself. So hopefully you're gonna be enjoying that from either point of our views, or if you end up watching for both of our views, then you're the real MVP. But regards to the matchup in itself, before we just kind of briefly go through my team, I go as quickly as possible I can, while you can still able to tell that I'm bringing and covering his sea captains. The timestamp for the battle pause of the video should be popping right about now on your screen, so if you wanna skip all this and just go to see the battle in itself and how that turned out, the option is there for you. But now, going through his sea captains, which you can also see his roster on the top right hand corner below my own roster as a comparison. His sea captains are Victini, Celebi and Aerodactyl, whereas my own sea captains as reminders are Landersterian, Volcarona and Crampo respectively. So covering the team of 6, starting with my Uber one and my Mega Evolution. My Mega Gengar is gonna be running Sludge Bomb, Shadow Ball, Will-O-Wisp and Reflect type. Those two last moves is just there to deal with the Skuntank, which otherwise can naturally check us quite well. But thanks to those two moves, it should not be able to beat us 1v1. And I can play from there. And it's just enough speed to outspeed his base 100s. He has Ambipoma on his roster, I can definitely tell that, but I don't anticipate it to come, so I'm not respecting it enough, because it's his worst mon versus me, and versus his Aerodactyl I don't anticipate myself to go for the speed tie winning otherwise anyway. So that is going to be our first mon of the team. Then we are going to be running mixed defensive Gramble with Normal C Heal Bell. Originally this was supposed to be Restock set, but I changed it on last minute to this set. And we are running Play Rough for stab, Super Fang for the Mega Acron, Roll to face out any kind of set of threats that he potentially can bring. And then the Heal Bell is just there, not only just for the Normal C way of gaining health through it, but also at the same time form as a cleric for the rest of my members of the team if it comes down to that, and we need that kind of support throughout the battle in itself. So that is going to be the Crample itself. Then we have a Choice Scarf, Adamant Landers. They are very straightforward, just a form of speed control and a winning condition that I can play towards to, as are weakening down his team towards this thing's range. And it can revenge kill a lot of his offensive threats unless they are Choice Scarf their own, with Earthquake, with Stone Edge, with U-Turn, and then the Defog is there as a last ditch effort of move if I need to utilize it as a hazard remover, because we are gonna be bringing 2 Defogers this week for supporting my Volcarona in itself. And then we have our second remover here with our fully physically defensive Latios with Rocky Helmet, Tracker Pull, Shadow Ball, Recover and Defog in itself. This is a Victini check, because I don't have anything else on my team to take that thing on, and I hate the fact that I have to prepare second time for that thing, because he was able to pick it up after Styx drop it into the free agency. So because I have to deal with the Victini again, this is my best check on my team, and it's just there for that, and hopefully it can do even more from there thanks to this kind of set, and the Rocky Helmet being a huge help on this mod to be able to beat other things like Mega Acron 1v1 ideally. And then we have like a mixed defensive Bronzong as our Stealth Rocker with Heavy Slam, Earthquake, Stealth Rocks as I mentioned, and then the Protect as a scouting way to see what he will be locking himself into some of his mons that can be choice lock mons versus me, and give me a turn of getting a free form of recovery through the leftovers as our item. And then the last member of the team is gonna be another leftover, uses a Stall Breaker Volcarona with Fiery Dance, Substitute, Toxic and Roost with mixed defensive. As I would be hoping to, so that the Giratina cannot break our substitute unless he's physical attacker. If he's a special attacker and not offensive set or a setup set, he should not be able to break our substitute, and we can actually beat that thing 1v1 in that kind of scenario thanks to our substitute and toxic while at it, and a former recovery in roost. So that is going to be the team of 6, and now let's go see how the battle actually turn out. And here we are with the battle replay versus SlackOut, and he decides to bring Pheromosa, Victini, Giratina, Mega Akron, Ambipom, and the Diggersby, and the Ambipom was literally the last one that I anticipate him to bring, and had the worst matchup from my point of view what he would potentially bring otherwise from his other members of his roster, but he decides to bring it. But it should be okay. The first ones definitely I anticipate to come, and then it kind of came down to what 4 he will be bringing besides the Pheromosa, Victini, Giratina or Mega Akron. And I'm gonna be leading up with my Choice Scarf Landers there, and it kind of get the Intimidate off versus the Pheromosa, versus the Ambipom, or versus the Akron or Diggersby. Honestly, the only thing that the Intimidate probably won't come into play would be his Giratina, which I do have my switching in my bulky Volcarona, but he decides to lead out with his Pheromosa, and this is a scenario where I'm gonna be hard swapping into my Volcarona because I do not risk this thing to be a Choice Scarf of its own, which I have seen him doing in the past battles that he has had here in APA Academy, and it's a fantastic way to have speed control if you expect your opponent to have a Choice Scarf versus you. So I don't blame him for being potential that kind of set versus me, so I want to cover that aspect when I do this play. And I went into my Volcarona, and here I thought that do I go for substitute or do I go straight for the toxic to predict the Giratina, and in hindsight I should have gone for the toxic first, but I went for the substitute to kind of vision that, or kind of get myself behind the substitute and be able to react whatever he would be doing and go from there. But he went into his Giratina and makes a fantastic swap into the Akron, knowing the fact that once he saw leftovers and substitute, I am most likely a toxic set on this. So he makes this fantastic read and makes sure that his Giratina doesn't get on timer at least yet. And he swap into his Mega Akron, does not Mega Evolve because IPA Academy doesn't force you to Mega Evolve immediately. You can Mega Evolve whenever you like to. So he makes a great decision in that regard. Make sure that he stays in his regular form, goes for the Rock Slide, connects it, and is able to take the Fire Dance prior to it relatively well, because it's a neutral hit on it and I'm not offensive Volcarona in itself, and he's able to break my substitute. But hey, that was still good chip on this Mega Akron, and still took like a third from its health, and that's fantastic for me. And now I swap into my Bronze Song, take the potential Rock Slide that he's probably forced to go for yet again as he does, and we take this really well, and we're gonna be revealing that we have another leftover spawn on this thing, and initially we are back at full with our Bronze Song. And here I do swap into my Latios immediately because I anticipate him go for the Stealth Rocks and potentially as well Mega Evolve while at it, to avoid the fact that he will be quite affected by Earthquake from a Bronze Song. So he's gonna be doing that play, go for the Mega Evolution, get that filter ability for himself and get rid of his Rock type and not be weak to ground. And he's gonna be going for his Stealth Rocks, and here I do go for the Defog. I don't want the Stealth Rocks to be ever on my side of the field, so I immediately make sure that I get them off from my side of the field, and he doesn't have any rocker besides this potentially on his team that he brought, so I anticipate that to be the case. He goes for the Heavy Slam. Thanks to my physical defensive Latios with Rocky Helmet, we can actually potentially 1v1 this thing from here, and I was between on this turn to go for either recover or I go for the Shadow Ball. I decided to go aggressive, go for the Shadow Ball because I can't take any one hit from it unless he would have gone for Avalanche on that turn, and thankfully he didn't at least go for it with his Mega Akron. He swapped into his Victini. I got a huge chunk on it, and now he has to take the Rocky Helmet chip with the U-turn as he goes for it, and now I do go for the recover as he went for that turn. And now he goes into his Ambipom, and here I'm like, okay, you're definitely going for the knockoff. You're seeing how annoying this Rocky Helmet defensive Latios is versus him and some of his mons, so I anticipate him to go for knockoff. I go into my Cramble. Even though we are careful natured and only somewhat defensive invested, you're gonna see how little this does, because we do have the C move on it, or the C crystal in normally we see. and he took very little from that. And here I actually swap into my Volcarona anticipating a potential U-turn, but he doesn't go for that. Most likely because he doesn't have it for some reason, and he does swap into his Mega Acron kinda because the fact that I had the Cramble out, so it kinda works out for me in that scenario. I kinda initially made this play just to be cheesy to get the Flame Body, but it worked out for me. And here I'm gonna be trying to go for the kill, because this is initially as much of a chance of me killing this Mega Acron as it would be potentially landing a Focus Blast if he's especially defensive, and thankfully I do get that roll. That was initially something that I in hindsight thought that was too big of a risk for me to take, because it was 70% chance for me to kill that thing, but thank god I got it, because now the Mega Acron is out of the way and he lost his Stealth Rockers, so now there won't be any rocks on my side of the field, and he went to his Diggersby after that, and that gives me a free turn to go for my Stealth Rocks from here on out, as the Diggersby is gonna be not be able to touch us, and he's gonna be hard swapping out either because he's Choice Lock or he's potentially still a setup set but doesn't have a Konokov on it to be able to hit me or Fire Punch on it. So whatever was the case, he decides to swap out and hard swap into the Victini before I get my Stealth Rocks up, which is a good play from his behalf. And now I do go for the Protect to scout what this Victini is going for, and he does reveal to be a special Victini with going for the Blue Flare. And here I'm like, okay, GCC the Latios, you're literally just here for the Victini, so we're gonna be bringing it in if his choice specs say not chance for him to two-shot us, but it would be doing a lot. But instead of that, revealing that if his choice specs or scout for whatever item, he missed his Blue Flare, which is kind of unfortunate because he actually has like a 93% of accuracy thanks to Victory Star, I believe, to hit those moves with Blue Flares on Victini, but he missed that on his first attempt to go for it. So unlucky SlackOut with his inaccurate moves is kinda showing to be the case. Like, he has been missing out high jump kicks with his Pheromosa throughout the season, so I kinda felt bad that now on his debut with his Victini he missed that as well. And now you saw that he actually hard swapped into his Giratina on my Latios going for Dragon Pulse, which was huge for me because I got a huge damage on it. But after that he makes a fantastic play going for the Toxic, and this is kinda like where I was like, Giratina, I was supposed to Toxic you with my Volcarona, I beat you down, but instead of that, you toxic me when I swapped out, so I don't appreciate you right now. But it was a great play for him, but now I do get my Toxic of my own on this Giratina, as I believe he's gonna be revealing that he is a physical attacking Giratina, but thankfully he does not have the Stone Edge on it, instead of he has Dragon Claw on it, so we can take that relatively well, but not as well because we are more so especially defensive oriented, because I anticipate this Giratina to be a special attacker versus me in a comparison of my roster having dual Intimidators. But it makes sense if this thing is dedicated to be a check to Volcarona, it makes sense in that aspect to be a physical attacker, but thankfully it doesn't have the Stone Edge on it. But either way, we go into our Lumiki the Cramble, we get the Intimidate off, as he's gonna be actually swapping out here, and he potentially made a really good read here, as he revealed to myself that he is a physical attacker, so he probably saw this as an opportunity to get his Victini in on my Crample swap out and get a one last ditch of effort of getting a huge move or a hit off for me if he would land that, but he missed his second Blue Flare in a row, and now he goes for the third one, revealing in a hindsight that is a Choice Specs Victini. I actually did not call for this throughout the battle, so I will admit that I did not know for certain that he was Choice Specs, but based on the damage it was kinda easy to tell from the how my HP bar was dropping a little bit that that had to be Choice Specs Victini, considering I am a Latios in itself and I have a very good natural speed stat. But here out we were able to eliminate that Victini because it wasn't able to live another turn of Stealth Rocks. He sacked that thing on our Dragon Pulse in itself and goes into his Pheromosa. Here I do make a kinda like a middle ground play. I didn't want to swap into my Crample, which was super obvious. I wanted to scout him to have a Poison Chap on it or hit it out Poison, so I swap into my Bronzong instead, as he went for the U-turn on the Pheromosa and did good chunk to us, but thankfully we are somewhat like mixed defensive and actually implicit nature on our Bronzong, and we do have Protect, to gain ourselves a little bit of recovery as he went to his Ambipom versus us and goes for the fake out first, which I was kind of surprised by. And here I make quite a bit of read here. I was a little bit aggressive here because I thought the Cramble is way too obvious. You're going for something else like a normal stab or a gong shot or U-turn or whatever. But he tried to go for the Ice Punch instead. I guess being lucky and bad and trying to get a freeze on the Cramble, or just try to predict the Landorusterian or anything like that. But thanks to the fact that I was able to catch him off guard there by staying in, I was able to get a huge heavy slam on this thing, and then I was able to gain myself a little bit more recovery on my Bronzong yet again with the leftovers and the protect combined. And now I swap into my Cramble, as I believe now he goes for the knockout. Yep, now he does go for the knockout, so we catch him off guard there. And now this is a turn for me to get a free heal bell off on for my team, especially for my Volcarona, because it's been poisoned by the Giratina earlier. And I don't have to pop my C heal belt just yet because my Cramble is still very healthy, as he's gonna be bringing his Digger Speed versus me. And now I make a play where I'm kind of respecting this Digger Speed to be still a setup threat, so I do decide to stay and go for the roar. If he had Gong Shot on it, it potentially would have killed me right from there, so that could have been a turn where he tried to predict me having to be forced out, and that I can see be the case. But I didn't know what that Digger Speed was, and if it was a setup set, I wanted to respect that to be the case, and I went for the roar. So it worked out for me because he actually went to his Ambipom, I believe, on that turn. And I was able to actually force it out to take another turn of not Rocky Helmet, but the Stealth Rocks, as I forced the Pheromosa coming. And this is a turn where I can go for the player off for free, because I can take any one hit from him, and nothing was to take a player off at this point of time. And he goes into his Digger Speed, and we do a chunk to this thing. Even though we are not invested, Cramble, thanks to his attack stat of 120 naturally, even as a physical or mixed defensive wall, it does still a huge chunk to anything, as long as they are not resisting it. So that is why I love that thing. And both Bronzong and Cramble are actually being quite a huge nuisance to him currently. They are doing good damage to everything on his team essentially, and he's taking huge chunk from them initially. Now he does sack his Ambipom after I swap into my Bronzong on his Digger Speed. And I went for the heavy slam, just covering the fact that if the Digger Speed would be trying to still go for the setup, he would die, or anything that would be coming in would be the same case. But he went for the U-turn on his Digger Speed, revealing the fact that he is probably not set up anymore, so I can initially just go for the protects for free, just to see what he locks himself into. If that's the case, he still, I guess, could be Assault Vest, which could make sense, which I thought that could be a thing as I was preparing for. But either way, this gave me a free turn, and now I don't believe it's gonna be set up, so I didn't lose too much for it. And now he does go for the U-turn again with his Digger Speed, and we take this relatively well. And now I'm just going for the heavy slam. Like, Bronzong doesn't literally have to do anything else than just click protect when it's free for me, gain my leftovers for free while at it, and then I just click either heavy slam and earthquake, and something is getting chipped down. And speaking of chip, that was literally a chip on this Giratina. As I cut a heavy slam off on it, I think I did about the amount of damage the leftovers recover for it, so it literally did nothing to it. But thankfully it still has to take the round of Stealth Rocks, it has to take a turn of Poison on it or Toxic on it, and now I am able to go for the Protect yet again with my Bronzong, because yet again it's for free. I can see if he has Defog on it, try to get rid of them, or force him just otherwise to take a round of Toxic while at it. But he swaps into his Digger Speed yet again. I'm like, okay, this same scenario where we have been several times before. I click protect again, he goes for the U-turn, I guess try to chip me down. This is his way to chip me down as best as he can with his Digger Speed. So I'm like, okay, you can go for your U-turn, but I'm clicking Earthquake this time around to predict the Giratina, not just pressure stall me out for my heavy slams, as he's gonna be critting while getting himself out of there. So excuse you, Digger Speed, you're kind of being rude over there. I cannot really, you cannot blame me my Bronzong just to crit me like that. If you cannot touch me, it's your own fault, so don't be mad at us on that scenario. But either way, he went to his Giratina, we go for the Earthquake. We did about the same as Heavy Slam, I guess would have done maybe a little bit more, but initially it's a little bit of chip. But at least it's gonna be nullifying his leftovers recovery. And again, Toxic plus Poison or the first turn of Toxic is still doing 18% of damage to it on every single time he does this, one way or another. So now I can just go for the Protect yet again. He's gonna be getting his leftovers, but then he has to take 12% after that. So initially on this turn I get my 6% of health for free, and he's gonna be chipped down by 6% for free for myself, and he reveals to have Shadow Sneak. So he has Shadow Sneak, Trigger Claw and Toxic, what he has revealed so far. So I'm like, okay, Cramble, you can come in for free here and not give a really anything about this Giratina unless he pulls up a Shadow Ball as his last move, but he goes for the Shadow Sneak yet again. Potentially this being his hardest hitting move to hit my Bronzor, so I would be quite surprised by if that would be the case. But now he does go down to the Toxic in itself, as we took the Shadow Sneak quite well with our Crample, and now he does go into his Pheromosa. And thanks to my careful nature and my SPDF stat, unless he is life off on this, and he hasn't revealed that to be the case, and unless he had like a hidden power, super effective move on it, he cannot kill me with a Ice Beam. So I get a free C heal bell on my Cramble and gain myself back to full on health with this thing. And a Cramble has been a little bit worn down, so I like my dog to be nice and healthy. So that's what we are initially going to be doing on this turn as Cramble. Lumik is going for the C heal bell as he brought his Diggersby in. I guess kinda as a sacking play after he tried to whittle me down with the U-turn, but that kinda backfired on him. He initially just took Stealth Rocks both of his mons and got nothing out of the turn. And now he does reveal to have the Gunk Shot. So early on when I have been aggressive versus him, I guess my aggressiveness finally paid out in a sense that now he is forced to go for that, and it kind of makes sense now that he did pack the Gunk Shot. But I was surprised that he did not have Knocko over that, because I thought that he would have to run Knocko to hit my Bronzor or Fire Punch on that matter. But either way it worked out for me, because the way he finally goes for that move, that is the turn that I go into my Bronzor. It was free turn for me. He stayed in, revealing that he was choice locked because he went for the Gunk Shot yet again, and he didn't have anything else to hit me on that turn. So he just sacked the Diggersby, and then he only has the Pheromosa remaining. I go for the Protect because that Protect actually guarantees me to live. Even a high jump kick from a Pheromosa, unless he's a like a black belt or something to boost his fighting type moves. But he goes for the low kick, he doesn't kill me, and now we kill him with a heavy slam. So that is going to be the game versus SlackOut himself. So good game to him. Honestly, consider the fact that I actually 6-0'd him on this battle. If you didn't keep up on the track, I did actually 6-0, and I didn't lose a single mon to him on this battle, which I was hugely surprised by, because look at his team of 6 on the right top and corner, like, or I guess I should be like pointing like this way. There we go. If you look at on that way and see the team of 6 that he brought, he has a Pheromosa, Victini, Giratina, Mega Aggron, and Diggersby. I don't care about the Amplipower. Amplipower is a non-factor, but just consider those 5 mons that he brought, and you look at my team or my roster, you cannot tell me that I was like, when I was going into this battle and I saw his team of 6, that yeah, you're gonna get a 6-0 win over him at this point of the time on this battle once it's gonna be all settled and done. So I was hugely surprised by the result, but I was very happy, obviously. I don't know if I even still have a chance to make up the playoffs. I might have like literally a tiny slimmer chance of making it, but it's still outside of my control. It's all based on the fact that people that has to lose for me has to literally lose and they cannot win anymore. But hey, at least we make a good impression over here. We are able to beat SlackOut in this battle. Good game to him. I don't think this by any shape or form shows his battling skills. I think this was just a weekend scenario that I just had my team perfectly right for the team of 6 that he brought, and it just worked out perfectly for me because of that. And that is literally the only reason that I was able to 6-0 him. It's not about his battling skills or anything like that. I know he's a good battler and I have seen his work. And again, just make sure to check him out so you know then yourself as well why I say this myself. Not just because of being friend and nice, but just because I believe in that scenario, and this doesn't just replicate his skill level in that regard. But yeah, that is going to be it for us for week 10 battle. Thank you all for watching. The next battle or the video that is supposed to be coming up from my point of view would be the Eon World Trophy week 6 battle versus Frosted. And I'm not too sure yet as I'm recording this that if that battle is gonna be actually happening, because there is a scenario currently that Frosted is very busy with her school project, so off the chance she won't be having time, there might be a little bit of gap between my uploads from there, or it's gonna be postponed later on, so keep an eye out for that. At least the week 11 upload for me should be coming up on next Sunday from the APA Academy, so that is guaranteed one. The E1 World Trophy is still up in the air how that's gonna be working out. Hopefully it's gonna be on Wednesday or it's gonna be happening eventually, but we have to wait and see. But until those times, thank you yet again for watching. I'm gonna see you guys later.